August 30th, 2025, Texas Tech kicked off its historic football season against the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Jacoby Williams, the hurdle for a touchdown!
Tech stormed the field and overwhelmed the Golden Lions. Then the real storm hit. And this West Texas thunderstorm was a doozy. Just ask Judith Johnson.
It was a huge storm with tornadoes and hail and lightning, and we wound up having to spend 2 hours underneath the bleachers in the tunnels below the stadium, and then they canceled halftime and just finished out the last 2 quarters of the game with 8-minute quarters after the rain.
After about a 90-minute lightning delay here in Lubbock, we are just about ready for the start of what will be a shortened second half.
That late summer day was supposed to be Judith's big moment on the Texas Tech football field, performing with the Goin Band from Raiderland.
We marched 450 some odd people.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
We were one of the biggest college bands in the country.
Judith's time to shine would come the following week, and it was a magical experience.
I was feeling like I was floating about 6 inches off the ground the whole game. When I'm performing, I don't feel like I'm in my body. I feel like it's an out-of-body experience, and I'm watching myself do it. And that's how the whole thing felt. All through the game, my thoughts were, I'm really doing this. I'm really doing this. Oh, wow, I'm really doing this. This is so cool. And then when we leave the stadium after the show to go back to our seats, we go around the edge of the stadium and we hold our hands up, and little kids lean over the edge and slap our hands and high-five us and stuff like that. And I was going around yelling at them, I'm your marching grandma. And they were just giggling.
This is the Big Stories Podcast, where we tell the amazing and inspiring stories from across the Big 12 Conference.
I'm Cleon Wall. In 2024, Judith Johnson fulfilled a lifelong dream. But becoming Texas Tech's marching grandma with the Goin Band from Raiderland gave her something unexpected. Just enough notoriety to share that dream with the world. What Judith never imagined was that her simple dream would inspire others.
I didn't realize it would help anybody.
So let's dive in. From the very beginning, Judith Johnson's life story was far from simple.
So me and my twin and a triplet were 3 months premature in 1959. I weighed 1.5 pounds. My sister weighed 2 pounds, and our triplet that died didn't even weigh 1 pound. We were not able to come out of the incubator for 3 months or 4 months.
Judith and her sister were then adopted by a nice couple and raised in Roswell, New Mexico.
I mean, we had a real June Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver lifestyle back then. You know, it was wonderful growing up.
And that wonderful life included music.
My mother used to say when I was a toddler that I was always running around the house singing. And she got tired of me singing, so what she would do is she'd put on records for me to sing to, so it wouldn't be just me singing.
Judith's singing must have improved because she joined her local church's children's choir and eventually graduated to singing with the adults. Around that time, she found out the church's organist also played the flute.
I saw her playing the flute, and she said, well, I'll teach her. And so I started taking lessons from her when I was 10, and I started band in 4th grade when I turned 11. And I could barely reach the keys on the flute, but I could just reach them.
Judith eventually learned to play the piano and even taught herself guitar during college. But let's not get ahead of the story. Long before she stepped onto campus, Judith had already made it clear she wanted to pursue music professionally.
All through high school, all through junior high, all through growing up, my parents knew that I wanted to major in music. They knew I wanted to be a band director. They knew I wanted to be a concert flute player. They knew that I wanted these things, and they knew that that was my calling. I felt like it was my calling from God to be a musician.
Before Judith could enroll at New Mexico State as a 17-year-old freshman, she had to convince her parents to approve her chosen major.
And I do not know why, to this day, they have never explained their reasoning. The day that we went to register, I signed up for all the classes I was supposed to take. They took a look at my degree plan and they said, nope, you can't. That's not well-rounded enough. We don't want you to do that. I will tell you that it completely emotionally destroyed me for probably 10 years.
Judith didn't challenge her parents on her new major, but she found other ways to rebel.
And did things like experimenting with marijuana, staying up all night partying. My grades went down. I developed an eating disorder, which I had until I was probably 28 years old. Maybe even after that had trouble with. I had problems with depression. I started running around with any guy that would have me. It was just crazy for years until I met and married my first husband. It was awful. And I look back on it now and I think, God must have had angels watching me that I didn't die some of the stuff I did because I was so mad at them for that.
After Judith's first marriage ended, she joined a medieval recreation society.
We'd get together and have tournaments and then activities during the day, and then at night people would sit around and sing and tell stories.
That's where she met Jerry Johnson.
I was singing, and then our eyes kind of met across the tent, and I thought, man, he's got the most gorgeous eyelashes I've ever seen. Wow.
She kind of just grabbed me, I guess.
And we started talking and found out we were both single parents, and we'd both been through a rough time with marriages, and we just started talking, and we talked till 4 a.m.
And they kept talking on the phone after they both retreated back to their respective homes.
He was a really good listener.
Now, back in the 1980s, you had to pay for long-distance phone calls, so Jerry and Judy's phone bills quickly skyrocketed.
He said, do you want to move over to Lubbock and live with me? And I said, well, I'm a Christian. I believe you got to be married to live together. And he said, oh, okay. Well, let's get married then. I think the time is right.
And we ended up just going to the JP and getting married.
We've been married now 39 years, and he's the rock underneath my wings. On every way, it's like our souls match up with each other.
Jerry has stood by Judith through it all, earning multiple degrees, achieving a black belt, and even joining a Lubbock community band. In fact, Jerry picked up his trumpet and joined that same band. Which brings us to Judith's next chapter in life after retiring as a nurse. Jerry says she's not the type to sit still or settle for relaxation.
I've always had an incredible thirst for knowledge.
So it came as no surprise when Judith wanted to keep learning, and the Texas Senior Academy gave her that chance. The program lets residents over 55 take up to 6 college credits for just $75. For Judith, it felt like the perfect opportunity to finally jump into music classes.
The one thing I knew was that there was a lot of things I didn't learn. I didn't learn theory. I didn't learn composing. I didn't learn all the different ways of playing in ensembles that you can learn. I didn't learn all of the classes that you can learn in music. I wanted to learn everything I could before I can't learn anymore.
In reality, Judith wanted more than 6 credits could offer.
She brought up that subject about a few classes or whether she'd just go for all of it, and whether we could afford it, because it does cost some other than the classes she got for free. I told her she might as well just go for all of it, do everything she can, take as much as she wanted to, because it's an opportunity for her at this point in time. That, and she's got so much excess energy, she needs to be kept busy.
Judith was finally ready to live out her teenage dream, or so she thought. First, she had to audition before Texas Tech's music professors to earn a spot in the program. The catch? Judith hadn't performed a solo audition in more than 40 years.
I remember I was sweating and my lip was sliding on the plate of the flute where I could barely play, and I was shaking. And I have a tremor anyway that I was born with, but this was really bad. And I got through the audition and I was almost crying, and I said, well, I guess you guys don't want me. And they told me, no, you played about as well as any high school senior, which was the last time you played that we've seen audition here, and of course you're coming into the program. And I was like, oh my God, I made it. Oh, this is unbelievable. Jerry dropped me off at school the first day last year, and the band was out practicing, and I heard the drums, and I heard the beat got into me, that music thing where it's part of me, and all of a sudden I just start thinking, I wonder if I could do this again.
Judith had participated in marching band in high school and as a member of the color guard at New Mexico State.
Once you're in marching band, it's in your brain. And then I would take my lunch and I would sit on the steps of the music building and listen to practice every day. And I would watch them and I would think, okay, you do karate, you swim, you're in fairly decent shape for a 65-year-old. I think I could do this. And then I found out about the audition process, and I wrote to Dr. Goin and I asked him if he'd consider me, and he said, go ahead and audition. So I went ahead and auditioned, and I made it.
Oh, I think she did pretty good. She had a little trouble keeping up sometimes. She's kind of short.
I have had to get in some really terrific cardio shape this semester, and that first game, I was not. And some of the moves that we did, there was one spot we did in one of the songs where we were going backwards, and I was having to take these big 2-foot-long steps, and I almost caused a domino effect with all the other piccolos marching around with me. I thought we were all going to topple over and really entertain the fans, but we didn't. It takes me all day Sunday to recover. I'm seriously, what the kids don't see is that I am 65 years old. I am 66 years old now, and it takes me a lot longer to recover. Those kids can go out and party after the band is through, and they can stay up all night, and they can go do whatever and get up the next morning and go to work, for heaven's sake. Not me. I am laid out for a day and a half. I'm done. The other musicians in the program have just wrapped themselves around me and adopted me as their grandma, and I'm like, they just love me. They're like I feel like they're my grandkids, all 450 of them. They just have treated me like a celebrity all the way through and just think it's the neatest thing.
Judith became something of a celebrity, at least in her own way. Texas Tech documented her journey to the School of Music and an in-depth story published on their website, and even produced a video sharing her inspiring path.
When I dive into the pool, I dive into the deep end, and I swim for broke. And that's how I live my life. That's how I've always lived my life. What I will tell you is that when all this started, I said, God, don't let me get a big head about this. I'm just an ordinary person doing stuff for fun. I said, please let this help somebody in some way. Anyway, the thing that's been happening is that older people will come up to me after games. Maybe they're part of the alumni, maybe they're just fans, and they'll say, I gave up on life, and I had given up doing this or that I loved, or I had just pretty much decided to throw in the towel because I was old. And I saw you, and I watched your video, and I watched your YouTube, and now I'm doing this. Now I have a new lease on life. Now I have hope again. I'm not that old. I can do this. I can do this. If you're doing it, I can do it. One guy after the Houston game, he wasn't even a Lubbock fan. He was a Houston fan, came up to me with tears in his eyes, and he goes, I had given up the trombone, and I had been through cancer treatment, and I didn't know if I was going to make it, and I didn't know if it was worth making it anymore. And he said, I saw your video, and I've joined the Houston Community Band on account of you. And I want to thank you because you helped me heal. And I thought, well, Lord, if this is what you're doing it for, then I'll keep doing it.
Judith never set out to be a beacon of hope. She simply wanted a music degree.
I didn't realize it would help anybody. I didn't realize it would inspire anybody. I mean, I'm just an ordinary person doing this crazy thing. And so one of the kids asked me if I was going to sign up for band next year, and I said, I'm in for all 4 years. As long as I can do it, I'm going to do it.
At the end of our conversation, I asked Judith and Jerry if they had any final thoughts.
Just tell people, no matter how old they think they are, they can still do something.
Awesome. Any words of wisdom, Jerry?
Yeah, let your wife do what she wants.
2 pieces of advice I will definitely take to heart. The football highlights come courtesy of ESPN. A big thanks to Texas Tech for helping us secure our interview with Judith and Jerry. I'm Cleon Wall. And the Big Stories podcast will be back soon with more inspiring tales from around the Big 12 Conference. Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.